Hello and welcome to Chapter 8, Informative Reports, the final chapter before the midterm exam. So let's quick and get on to it. So we're going to talk about the different parts of your reports, the summary and abstract, some mechanism descriptions, periodic reports, progress reports, and new news releases. So informative reports, you can have different types of summaries and abstract. You can create a mechanism description with a visual and process description, or you can write a periodic report, progress report, or a news release. And they're going to be different types of information, different audiences contained in each of these reports. So summary and abstract, a summary is a condensed version of your document, and the abstracts are more condensed. So usually your abstract is going to take your entire document down into a few paragraphs even. So some summaries and abstracts, they are standalone, and others begin in a longer technical document. So summaries and abstracts are going to save you time. You are basically highlighting all of the details and what you want your reader to know before your audience is really going to get into the nitty-gritty and the actual details of the document. Readers who intend to or who tend to only need the big picture, they're going to read your summaries and abstracts only. You may have readers to read your summary and abstract to see whether the rest of the document is worth reading. So a long summary, choose a few important details. Short summary includes the thesis or the main point only. The abstract is going to paraphrase and condense the most important information presented in the longer document. Keep your summary information proportional to the original. And in your summary and abstract, you are going to write in the present tense. Within this section, you are not going to want to quote if at all possible, and you do want to provide transition. So again, this is an overview of the entire paper, so including introduction, conclusion, data, etc. A mechanism description, that's going to describe the main parts of a device or a machine. It's going to explain the purpose of the mechanism, the overall design, what the parts are, what they look like, and what their function is. It is used in catalogs, instruction manuals, and employee training. It's not going to include instructions on how to operate the machine, but it is going to explain every single part in detail. So you are going to use what we call spatial order, which is explaining things from left to right or top to bottom, whichever is the more logical pattern. The writers of the mechanism descriptions, you're going to start with an overall description, and each part is going to have its own separate heading. And you do want to use the proper names for each of the parts so that the reader can find what they are looking for. You are going to provide a precise physical description of each part, include the purpose or function of each part, and if possible, a graphic, including the diagrams and or exploded or enlarged views of smaller parts of the mechanism. And within the section, you're going to use the active voice. In a periodic report is going to review what has happened over a time period. So for example, a quarterly report, a quarter one report. Their organizations are going to use periodic reports to inform clients, customers, shareholders, vendors, suppliers, donors, employees about what has happened over that time period. A lot of times it does include the accomplishments and the challenges. So some good examples, President's State of the Union address. That is to inform the country of what has gone on, good and bad, over the past X number of months. And as I had said before, a quarterly report. So if you are writing a periodic report, consider what has taken place during the time period covered. Again, your scope within a periodic report is a time period. Consider your audience's concerns and interest. Organize information into lists, group things by type. Most likely you're going to want to stick to one section. Format for the intended audience, provide an overview of the contents, and include a section for each category, activity, or type of work that was done within the time period. You're going to highlight key ideas, refer to the next report in the conclusion. So a lot of times in a periodic report, you may give a status update on a project that is ongoing, and you may say for the conclusion of this project, see Q2 report, etc. Check for accuracy, especially when you're using statistics, names, and even abbreviations. Use lists whenever possible. Divide long discussions into paragraphs. And again, we're only presenting the facts. Do not include your own opinion. You need to let your reader draw their own. A progress report is what has been done during a specific amount of time, just like a periodic report, but a progress report is on one project. So, whereas a periodic report covers many different projects and many different work tasks that were accomplished, a progress report is just on one. So, a progress report is going to cover in detail anything that has happened in the current period on that specific project. So another thing that you can do and that you are able to do is have your periodic report actually point to some individual progress reports. Now, an outline of a progress report, introduction with the topic, the purpose, and again, we need to include the reporting period. That is the very what makes this more specific than any other kind of report. We need to know what has been done and what has yet to be done. So we say, this is what has been completed thus far. This is what is left to do. After that section, you typically put a problems or projections. What has gone wrong? What do we foresee going wrong? How is everything going in the long run? Next, we have a news release. A news release is also called a press release, and it is going to be a report that is prepared specifically for the media. So the goal of this is to inform the public. A type of press release is called a public service announcement, or a PSA. You may have heard of those before. And PSAs present beneficial facts to the public from whoever is writing the PSA. Public relations is the communication between a company and the outside world. In large organizations, public relations departments write news releases to help companies maintain positive images. In smaller organizations, you may be assigned to write some type of news or press release. So if you are asked to write a news or press release, you first need to analyze your audience and figure out who that is. You need to put your reporter's hat on and ask the who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. You need to determine what will interest your audience. Why do you want to send this type of information out into the public? You need to check for accuracy, your facts, your numbers, your names, things like that, and make sure that you are credible. We're not here to exaggerate or use information that cannot be verified. We want to use active verbs, especially in the headlines. We want to open with a hook. We want to catch the reader's eye and have them read the entire article. We want to order your ideas from the most important idea at the beginning to the least important throughout the document. Remember, if your reader is going to stop reading, they're going to do it right after the beginning. So we want to format it so a news reader can easily read the release and so editors can easily make changes. Now, if you are formatting a news release at the top of the page, flush left, you're going to have the words in all caps, news release, key contact, the contact's name, a date, and typically after that, you're going to have something that either says for immediate release or please hold until X. So for example, a news release was just recently published about the Washington football team's new mascot. And so that could have been given to media last week, and it could have said, please hold until the actual announcement date. So you can have it for immediate release, or you can specify when it will be published. The body of it, you'll have some kind of suggested headline, a city and state. You're going to want to have that most important information first. I think we talked about that. So content should read like a news story, not like literature. If it's going to run On a separate page, make sure you have the word more centered at the bottom of the page so that it looks like this example. The ending of the news release is going to either be with one of the two symbols. It's either going to have the page number centered at the bottom, or you're going to have 3 hashtags or the little number symbol. So that is all for this. Now, what we're going to do for this assignment is you are going to have, I believe it's 4 different paragraphs. And what I want you to do is to rearrange them in an order such that they create a more effective news release. So make sure you put your important things first and your headlines and things like that. As always, if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me by email, and I will see you next time. Don't forget, this is the last lecture before the midterm exam, so make sure you study for that midterm.